When someone breaks a leg, the biological failure is obvious. But when the brain struggles, the advice often shifts to the abstract. We tell people to think positive or go for a walk, treating a physiological misfire as if it were a simple matter of perspective. The brain operates on a precise network of chemical messengers and alarm systems designed to keep the body safe. But those delicate pathways can glitch. The alarms misfire, and the systems designed to protect the host suddenly turn against it. Mental disorders are physical hijackings of the body's control centers. They are severe physiological failures, not choices or character flaws. The brain's motivation and reward system runs on specific chemical fuels, primarily dopamine and serotonin. These messengers create feelings of pleasure, connection, and drive. Depression occurs when the brain physically struggles to generate those chemicals. It creates a state of constant, heavy emptiness. Food loses its taste, and getting out of bed requires a monumental physical effort. Sadness has a specific cause, but depression exists independently, draining the color out of a perfectly stable life. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a different chemical deficit. The brain fails to produce enough dopamine to make follow-through feel rewarding. A person with ADHD knows exactly what they need to do, but the biological gap between intention and action cannot be bridged by effort alone. It looks like laziness to the outside world, but it is an inability to regulate focus. Bipolar disorder causes these same chemical levels to swing wildly between extremes, completely bypassing the host's control. This chart illustrates the different states of motivation. During a manic episode, the brain floods with a superhuman energy, represented by these jagged peaks. Thoughts race, and risky decisions seem logical. Then the energy completely drains into a deep valley. The resulting crash is staggering because the physical memory of the manic high is still fresh. You cannot force a machine to run without fuel. When the biological engine lacks the necessary chemistry to function, willpower is entirely irrelevant. The amygdala acts as the brain's emergency fear center. When faced with physical danger, it floods the body with stress hormones, initiating a survival response. Generalized anxiety disorder jams this alarm in the active position. The brain treats everyday situations, an unread text, a future bill, as literal emergencies, keeping the body perpetually tense. Panic disorder causes the fear center to misfire instantly. Without any actual threat, the heart pounds and the chest tightens. It is a full-body survival response that convinces the host they are dying. Obsessive-compulsive disorder traps this threat system in an inescapable loop. Intrusive, terrifying thoughts invade the mind, and the brain demands irrational rituals, like checking a lock 15 times, to prevent an imagined disaster. The ritual provides relief, but it only lasts seconds. The anxiety returns immediately, demanding the action be repeated. Social anxiety hijacks this same survival instinct and applies it to human connection. Walking into a crowded room triggers the exact same physical fear responses meant for a predator attack, forcing the body to sweat, to physically tremble, and seek immediate escape. Post-traumatic stress disorder breaks the alarm entirely. Following severe trauma, the nervous system fails to file the memory away. Instead, a specific smell or loud noise forces the body to vividly and physically re-experience the event as if it is happening right now. The hypervigilance wears the body down. Living with an anxiety disorder means fighting a grueling physiological war against threats that exist entirely within the nervous system. The mind's most complex system is responsible for regulating emotion, perceiving reality, and anchoring our sense of self. Eating disorders twist food into a desperate mechanism for control. When the internal world feels chaotic and unmanageable, shrinking the body and restricting calories becomes a physical, measurable metric of order. For someone with borderline personality disorder, the brain lacks emotional buffers. A minor disappointment, like a canceled plan, hits with the weight of a total crisis, triggering despair or rage that feels impossible to regulate. Schizophrenia fractures reality through a misfire of neurotransmitters. The brain generates auditory hallucinations and absolute delusions that feel genuinely real to the host, while simultaneously flatlining their ability to feel natural joy or express emotion. Dissociative identity disorder acts as the ultimate psychological shield. When a child experiences abuse too severe to process, the mind survives by compartmentalizing. It splinters into separate identity states, holding specific memories and emotions to protect the main consciousness. When the reality processing system fails, the anchor to the outside world disappears. The sufferer is left navigating an isolated internal chaos, entirely unable to trust their own perceptions. Each of these disorders forces the brain to work overtime, whether it is the frantic looping of OCD or the flatlined motivation of depression. The mind is constantly burning energy just to maintain a baseline level of function. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to pretend to be okay. Working a job, maintaining relationships, and navigating a normal day while actively fighting a malfunctioning nervous system leaves a person completely drained. We have to stop viewing these struggles through the lens of logic. You cannot reason with a dopamine deficit, and you cannot force an overactive amygdala into submission through sheer willpower. Surviving a hijacked brain requires immense resilience. Waking up every day to fight a war just beneath the surface takes a quiet, unyielding strength that most people never see. Seeing these disorders as biological malfunctions changes the nature of the conversation. It replaces the stigma of a broken personality with the reality of a body trying to survive its own internal alarms.